Is this an ancient doorway? Now we're assuming it's an ancient doorway because it looks like a doorway. But we also assume that things like these holes in these old stone monuments are to do with the stars, because that's all we can figure them out. Look, there's a big stone hole there, and so we're always saying these things are built for astronomical purposes. However, I'm suggesting that whatever was in these holes could have been material that is now long since gone. So for example, these are thousands and thousands of years old, but look, it just takes 50 to 500 years for metals to basically disappear, and plastic. So if there was something in these holes long gone, but so we kind of might need to stop looking at them as if, you know, we know what they are just because it's a hole and therefore it's got to be pointing to the stars. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe there was something going through the holes that we've missed. I'm just going to sidestep Egypt for a moment. People have asked who was before the Anunnaki, if anyone at all. There's a thing called panspermia, which basically means that a planet is seeded from outside of itself. In other words, the planet didn't create life on its own. Life came to it from either bacteria on a meteorite or an alien race deliberately started life here. Now, if there is any proof that we had panspermia, it could be such as these things here. These are millions of years old, and they're dotted all over South Africa, and they're perfectly, you know, round, and which is sort of not normally done in nature. Then you've also got these other balls here, which are apparently 2.8 billion years old. Now these look like they've had some work done to them. So there's an alien race that we call the Ancients. I will get to them, and now they possibly created life on Earth, and I'll get to them and explain why later on in another video. Anubis, the Sphinx, or a lion? I'll let you decide. At the front of the Sphinx was this plate, and it was called the Dream Stele. Forgive me for pronouncing that wrong. And basically it shows two carved sphinxes with the face as the face there, because obviously this was way later than when it was originally built, and if you've watched the other videos you know that I'm saying that the face was changed. But so basically there is no other record really of these two sphinxes. Now there are reports that possibly there's one in Antarctica, there's possibly reports that there's another one still buried in the sand, or it's the one that's on Mars, and therefore its twin is on Mars. But also underneath is about the Hall of Records. Now people have tried to find it, but let's be honest, the authorities would have already pulled it out and took absolutely everything if there was anything. Are you my mummy? The Egyptians had a thing for mummies, and they wanted to communicate with the afterlife, or make sure that the people that died go through and are looked after. So you had Anubis, Osiris, and if you move away from Egypt you had Hades and things like that. So the Anunnaki were well interested in talking to the dead as well. So you remember the Eye of Horus. Now we'll get to the pineal gland a bit later on, and I'll explain a lot more about what it does and our consciousness, etc., or spirits. But I personally think that pyramids, or at least some pyramids around the world, were made to communicate. So when you're inside a pyramid, there was reports that they used to put people in there to be able to talk to the dead because of the frequencies of the earth plus the shape of the pyramid. So that's not much different from an Indian sweat lodge, where they can supposedly communicate with the deceased. An Egyptian lightsaber, or possibly a bulb. People seem to think that it's a bulb because it could be a filament inside, even though it does more look like a snake. And then there's a power wire or a wire coming out of it into a box, which could be a power box. But have a quick look at these different sized characters. Do you remember I said the Anunnaki were 10 to 12 feet tall? So I think that one there holding it is a relation to the Anunnaki, and obviously the other one is a Homo sapiens sapien. Now, if they have created these technical devices, they've obviously took them with them when they left the Anunnaki, or they disintegrated. Now have a look at this. This is a rock that actually grew around us, what looks like a bolt. So people were thinking that this is, again going back to my panspermia thing, possibly predates, well certainly predates the Anunnaki, but could be an alien race that was here before. And look at this. This is another item that was actually encased in